Hi everyone, it's Fitz with your Power Talk post-game edition. Kansas State drubs Kansas 42-17 on Saturday in Lawrence. An impressive showing by K-State. I had a KU fan hit me up on the X machine and ask if this was K-State's best performance of the season. I said by far. And it kind of puts the whole remainder of the season in a different light. The first four games of the season were disappointing, to say the least. Even the one win over North Dakota was not what anyone expected, how that took place, having to score a late touchdown to simply win. It was a mess. But the coaches went into their first of 3 bye weeks this season and seemed to push the right buttons. They streamlined things, they simplified it, and got back to some basics. And they also found a way to fire this team up. And that's really been the biggest difference. They're now playing with emotion that was completely lacking in those first 4 games. Now they've played their second 4 games, and they've gone 3-1. And coming into this game was their second bye week. So the first bye week was some big strokes, trying to get things locked in for better performances. The performances have improved. In fact, that one loss at Baylor was good enough to win, and they probably should have won. But they didn't. And meaning this KU game was enormous because counting the victories to get bowl eligibility was getting difficult. But this was an all-around great performance by the Kansas State Wildcats. You have to applaud Chris Kleiman and his coaching staff for the way they've corrected course with this team and kind of reinvented them as the season goes. This was an emotionless, robotic team that now is playing with a lot of passion and heat. And this game was defined by 2 things. One, Kansas State's defense under Joe Klanderman has played remarkably well 2 weeks in a row, 2 games in a row. But more importantly is they stopped Kansas from explosive plays. The Jayhawks only had 247 yards of offense, and they ran 77 plays. They had the ball for 33 minutes of this game almost, and they still only put up 17 points. And the first 7, as we know, came off the fumbled opening kickoff that KU scored a touchdown. I think it probably didn't get in before Jalen Daniels fumbled. There just wasn't an angle to prove that true. So they throttled this KU offense from beginning to end. They didn't let them make big passes downfield. Nobody really broke loose for huge runs, although Jalen Daniels, if I recall, had one pretty nice run of as long as 15 yards. That's it. That was really the feature play of the game. It was really amazing to see how much improvements come from the Kansas State defense. Really, really impressive. But the star of the game had to be Avery Johnson, and his stats don't even look that good. Avery Johnson was under fire earlier this year, and probably under fire from himself. He's a very aware young man. He knew he wasn't playing well, but he wasn't only not playing well, he just didn't seem to be having fun. He didn't seem to be enjoying himself. It was like there's so much information coming at him, so much noise, whether it's in the locker room for coaches, from players, or outside the locker room from fans and the media like me. A lot of noise. Well, he seemed to have found his way to lock in and focus. Now he's playing with a great deal of heat. He's showing it on the field. He's making plays. And while you look at the stats, you're thinking, okay, those aren't that great. Anyone who watched the game knew Avery was on spot today. 11 of 17 passes. He only completed 11 passes in this game. 2/3 of his passes were completed for 231 yards and 2 touchdowns. And those 2 touchdowns, well, they got the ball down the field. It was absolutely amazing to watch what he did. He had the 27-yard pass to Jerron Tibbs, which was really nice play. Really, really a nice play. And then the deep ball to Jace Brown, who then proceeded to give every K-State fan and coach just a heart attack by refusing to go into the end zone until the last second. No, don't do that. But Avery also scored 2 touchdowns running the ball. However, he only had 6 carries in this game for a total of 8 yards, but 2 of them were touchdowns. Everything he did was efficient. The offense only ran 53 plays, and they scored 5 of the 6 touchdowns, the other one coming on special teams after the snap was dropped and scooped and scored by Ralph Ortiz. Just an amazing, amazing performance by Kansas State. This team was left for dead by most people. And now they've gone out and did exactly what they had to do to put themselves in position to make it to a bowl game. But now they've done more than that. They've redefined themselves to the point now we stop and wonder, well, we kind of marked up Texas Tech and Utah as losses because this team just wouldn't match up well with that physicality. All of a sudden, the defense is much more physical. They dominated the front of Kansas's line. They took it to them. And you stop and wonder, well, next week when Tech wanders to town, granted, they're going to have their quarterback probably back under center, but they've already lost a game. Is it possible? Now, it's a long shot, I know, but just imagine 4 games ago actually saying, I think K-State might be able to beat Tech. I would have been beaten over the head with a stick because that would have been absurd at the time. And you know what? I can see it now. I can see them beating someone else here. And Chris Klieman said it after the game. This kept us still in contention in the Big 12. As amazing as it is to say, K-State with 2 losses could find themselves, if they can run the table, 3 losses and you're done, in an advantageous tiebreaker position unless Iowa State, which appears to be playing well as I watch this against BYU, unless Iowa State is in that tie. They're going to win most tiebreakers because the other loss was to Baylor, and I don't think Baylor's going to be in any tiebreakers. We'll see how this all develops. There's so much more football to be played. But if the defense wants to be that sound, and they still need to lock down some tackling issues, and Avery Johnson is that cool, calm, and in control, and also not just calm, showing a little passion out on the field. It's going to be a whole different team. It was a whole different team on Saturday in Lawrence. I wish I had been there. I take a game off, and Chris Klieman's crew absolutely dismantles the Jayhawks. That's 17 straight years now. This winning streak for Kansas State's getting ready to go to college. Next year, it'll be 18 and the streak can vote. I don't understand how Kansas let these last 3 seasons slip by them. They had opportunities these 2 previous seasons, and they blew those opportunities. They played better for the most part than Kansas State in both of those games, and then, well, they didn't get it done. And they thought, Jalen Daniels, 6-year senior, playing really good football this year, at home, new stadium, Lance Leipold's got him dialed in, this is going to be it. And it wasn't. And now you do sit here and ask this question, how long will this go on? Jalen Daniels will be gone. Maybe Lance Leipold will move on after this if he gets offered the job at Wisconsin. But maybe for KU's benefit, the losing is going to work out where he may not even get offered that job. I don't know. I don't see bright days ahead for KU football if Lance Leipold does depart. And he would be departing with an 0-5 record against Kansas State. It's astonishing that Chris Klieman has just picked this up and ran with it. That's his 7th straight win in this series, 17 total. He picked up that winning streak of 10 from Coach Snyder. And can he double it up? We'll see in about 3 years. That's it for the Power Talk. Avery Johnson was good. Defense was really good. And the Wildcats absolutely dismantled those colorful crows.